What's up, everyone? Mr. Hancock here. Today, we're going to go over the Week 1 content in English Lit 1 for the Anglo-Saxon literature. And so, this video isn't going to be extremely long. It is going to be, less than 15 minutes here. But I've been teaching English Lit, World Lit, everything like that for years, and I've really moved away from the whole um, long lecture with that because what I don't want to do is give you a big long history lesson, read the word to you, then tell you what it means, then have you just to parrot it right back to me. That defeats the purpose of the whole thing. You're not accomplishing our learning objectives in that sense. So I'm going to give you some direction. I'm going to show you what you need to be looking for, and I'm going to be focusing on themes and put questions in your mind and tell you what you need to be looking for. And then you're going to use the reading journals and the discussion boards to develop your ideas as well as presenting those ideas in the exam. So let's get here to week 1 real quick. We have 4 poems. Some are very short, some are very longer, put it that way. All right, so first of all, you have a really good video here on Anglo-Saxon, just basic history. Please watch this. It gives you context as to what time period we're dealing with, where it is, where it's involved, and everything. Because when we think here as English, is we're looking at England in the UK. But when did that really start? What was really going on at the time? Not a lot of people don't realize that the Romans were there, and then you had the natives there, and then you had invading forces that brought in so many different influences that affected language all the way to literature and to cultural, and this is a big part, cultural norms at the time. So please watch this video. It'll give you a breakdown of how that is, and then I have another really short a web link here to kind of discuss this as well. Just clicking in this in here, and it explains it a little bit and shows you what some of it looks like. Talks about the language just a little bit and so on there. Okay. Then back over here, the first poem you're going to go into is Caedmon's Hymn, and right under that is I think is a really cool video of a gentleman reading it or reciting it, I would say, in Old English. A lot of folks don't realize that the English that we speak today is nowhere close to what they spoke, hundreds of years ago. So when we're looking at in the say 400s to up into the say 1000s, 1100s, I'm pushing it there, but they spoke Old English. Then it moved into Middle English, which is around like Chaucer and a lot of real knights and fancy like medieval sounding stuff that movies try to show us. And that sounded completely different, just like Old English. And then finally, we started moving into a more modern English in the 1500s or so. And it's even interesting, like if you study like the King James version of the Bible, even the King James version that you get your hands on has gone through, I think, around 4 revisions of the language. So if you go and get your hands on a real true 1611 King James version, not an original obviously, but a reproduction, I have one in my office. It looks like a photo facsimile of that, and it's hard, really difficult to read. And if someone were to read it, you would catch a lot of stuff. Some stuff you may not, or at least when you hear it, you'll ask, "How did you get that from that sentence?" So language has changed; it has evolved. It's kind of like I always compare it to like clothing styles. If you look at yourself or a picture of yourself or a picture of your parents or anybody 10, 15, 20 years ago, the styles are completely different then than they are now. But there was no one specific spot where those styles change. Music's the same way. Everything's like that. Styles evolve and they change and just morph into something else. And so language did that too. There was no spot where Old English became Middle English, which became early modern, late modern. We don't have that. But we do have those time periods where the language flowed and changed in that area. So when we're dealing with Anglo-Saxon poetry, it is definitely Old English. This link for Caedmon's Hymn here stacks the original Old English next to the modern English so you can see, you can compare it. And the video here is a recitation in Old English. It's really, really cool. Then we're moving to Dream of the Rood, excuse me, The Wanderer, and Wife's Lament. So one thing that I want to go into to really consider for these poems. So here we go. For Caedmon's Hymn, and especially Dream of the Rood, you want to think about, in terms of theme, these cultures coming from, invasions from the Angles and the Saxons. So you're thinking about um, really strong, warlike people. that really champion heroism. So the idea of the hero, of heroism in general, is really championed and really appreciated. So when Christianity came and there was conversion over on the island, you could see a mixing of the two, and that's what you see in Cayman's hymn. Is God is looked at like the king, like the almighty king, that can conquer anything. He is the ultimate hero. Even in Dream of the Rood, look for this, okay? And what you see in the Dream of the Rood is a conversation between a gentleman having a vision, a dream, with the cross on which Christ was crucified. And the cross is explaining what he saw and explaining Jesus and everything of that sense. And in doing so, he paints Jesus as the ultimate hero. Even in dying, it was the ultimate sacrifice of a hero. And it's the whole idea of heroism in this is amazing. That you can definitely see those. Okay, now when we move into the Wanderer and in the Wife's Lament, we're dealing with another particular area, something separate from heroism, but not so much. It's in more of a Latin phrase. It's what we're going to call comitatus, and what we're looking at here with these, especially the Wanderer, is during then with the feudal system, you had your king, and the king obviously can't control the entire country. He's right there, so he has other royalty going down in rank that have their own spot of land that they are in control, and they have their own little pieces sectioned off. Think of it like you have a country with our states, and then each state has broken into counties with towns in the counties, right? So kind of it's not perfectly like that, but if you can vision it like a top-down structure like that, that's what we see here. And within that, you had say like a baron, and then the baron or a duke, and they had their knights, and the knights were in charge of taking care of a certain group of people. The point being is that within this feudal system, folks under one particular person of authority looked to that person as a master, as someone who would take care of me. This was person here was they were going to take care of me. They were going to support me. They would give us what we need. Any danger comes, they're there for me. And if I don't have this person, I'm dead. My life is useless. It's gone. It's over with. I need that person. There's like that idea of this is my master and I need my master. Almost like the child to an adult. Without the adult, the child is lost and it's danger. But the adult takes care of everything with the child. So with the wanderer, which we have here, and one of the worst things that can happen to these folks is the loss of a master. The loss of that master means loss of identity, loss of everything. They are lost. They are wandering. So we see that with the wanderer, but you go and take that idea and connect it to their now new belief in God, in Christianity, and the idea of without God I am lost, I'm nothing, I'm everything is gone, everything is worthless without Him. I have nothing without God. I am nothing without God. And we see that, and you go into the Wife's Lament, see if you can see that there as well there. And y'all, that's what I want to do here when it comes to some of these. I want to go in and I got to kind of stop myself because I could talk for days on this stuff. I want to go in and give you a little bit of information and plant this info in your head, give you some context so that you can go and watch your videos and you can read these pieces, and in the discussion and in the journals you can develop your ideas, read what other people are saying, think about it and process it. Okay, um, the way this is going to work, like we don't have a journal due in week one here. Okay, we just have a week one discussion, but I do want to take a second to talk about the difference between the discussions and the journals. The discussions, follow your rules for posting. I've said that before, follow the rules for posting. But what you want to do, and as you can see here for week one, that there's nothing in here about Anglo-Saxon poetry. Your discussion post dealing with that stuff is going to happen next week because we're going to make some connections between Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-Norman language, or excuse me, poetry. But what we're seeing going on here is that you need to follow those rules, meaning that this is a lot more structured, a lot more depth to it, and a lot more focused. Think in terms of your discussion and your discussion questions, and even the journal questions are like a study guide for your exams. I don't provide study guides. When I say time to study for your exams, you need to go and you need to study. If I have any specific handouts that talk about anything particular, use that for a study guide, and use your discussion board prompts and journal prompts as a study guide as well. Had a and I think this is true. The further you go in college, you'll see this. Sometimes you'll have a laid out basic study guide, but there are some classes like mine where you won't get that. Had a friend of mine that taught said it this way. Had a student ask him, well, "What's the study guide?" And he said, "The book." And so that's it. There, the job is to study and understand the content. Is there information that you just need to learn so you can pair it back to me, memorization, and so you can say it back to me? No, that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for you to read these pieces, understand the pieces, and make a connection, an applicable connection, and what it teaches us about humans at the time, about people at the time, and what does it tell us about humanity. And then you explain that in the exam, okay? It's really open. I think you can look at that in a positive way, that there's no perfect answer that you get this, you get it right, you don't, you're wrong. It's not how it is. Does that mean that you can write anything willy-nilly and get points? No, that does not mean that at all. But it does mean that you are able to explain it in your own specific, personalized way. All right? So there we go, y'all. Go back, watch that video, read up, get directly into the poems, see what you think. Finish week 1. Week 2 is when we'll kick into another piece of reading with Old English, and then that discussion board in that journal, which will have 2 of those or 1 of those each in week 2. That's when you can start making the connection and with these poems and the next poems. Okay. All right, y'all. If you have any questions, y'all, please let me know. Thank you.